Hello, my name is Jack Stanley, and I'm the co-founder of the Tech Academy. I'd like to welcome you to the Tech Academy podcast. The Tech Academy operates a 15-week software developer bootcamp. You can find out more at our website, learncodinganywhere.com.
Hey there, it's Hannah Patterson. Today I'm sitting down with Brian Holman to talk to him about how his PhD in meteorology led to a career in data science. We cover lots of other topics like finding a job in this industry, and we dabble in artificial intelligence in this conversation. I think you guys are really going to like it. Hi, Brian. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Hannah. It's great to be here.
So you were telling me earlier that you have your PhD in a completely unrelated field. Tell me about that.
Sure. I got my bachelor's in physics. I've always been a mega nerd. Not too much into computers, though, and knew that I wanted to go into meteorology. And so that's what I went to grad school for, and really had my sights on being a professor. That was something that really appealed to me. I like the research aspect of it. But for lots of different reasons, the second year of my PhD program, I knew that I didn't want to be a professor anymore.
Yeah.
Super long hours, a lot of writing, just a whole lot of things that go with it. And it was a moment of strife for me and our family because I did graduate school in Florida and I'm from Portland, so we moved all the way across the country. And I felt kind of stuck, and my wife and I had just had our first kid. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, so there's not much of a future here. What am I going to do? And I happened upon a talk at the university that I went to on big data and machine learning and data science, and got super hooked and recognized that is an industry that's absolutely booming in the tech sector. I mean, and artificial intelligence just exploding. And I knew that I wanted to be a part of it. And fortunately, my PhD advisor was super cool and gave me the latitude to research whatever I wanted to research, as long as it applied to the grant that funded the work that I did and funded my education, thankfully. Yeah. And so fortunately, machine learning and artificial intelligence has a pretty long history of use in meteorology. And so I just geared all of my research towards that and learned, made sure that I learned stuff like R and Python and technologies that are used in the data science field, in the hopes that when I completed my degree that I'd be able to get a job in data science. And I just graduated in December and got a job a few weeks later. So wow. It ended up working out. That did work I got super lucky, but yeah.
That's awesome. And just to a lot of our listeners probably don't know much of anything about data science.
Okay.
So how would you explain what it is and the types of things it can be used for in layman's terms?
Basically, data science to me it's an intersection of three things. It's an intersection of computer programming, because you have to use languages like R and Python, even Java and Scala or Scala, I always mispronounce that, are used today. And so you need to have that. You need to have a good, solid statistical background, because you're trying to either look at a bunch of data and infer some things and take insights from it. Either you yourself or programmatically you tell the computer, what to look for, and it will help you. Yeah. So it's an intersection of those two things and art, because there's a huge demand for being able to get all this data, ingest it, and then come up with some really creative visualizations that allow you to see stuff, or see patterns and trends within the data in a different way. So it's a kind of blend of those three things that happens to be a huge, just booming topic right now. Awesome. For the past couple of years.
Would you say that bleeds into many industries, like the data science is used in
everywhere,
in all facets?
Absolutely everywhere. Like I said, so I researched, how it was applied to meteorology, and I knew several people in oceanography and biology and other forms of healthcare that were doing that type of research as well at the university. Now I'm in healthcare, but when I was applying for jobs, I was applying to manufacturing companies, to engineering, healthcare, finance. It goes across everywhere, even human resources. Just everywhere that I've seen, all sorts of different industries and companies are interested in data science right now.
Awesome. And so what about you specifically? What do you do with it? What's your current position, and how do you use it?
So right now I'm on the data science and analytics team at a company called Healthsparq here downtown. Okay. They're owned by Cambia Health Solutions, to, I guess, throw another name out there. And So Cambia they own like, I don't know how many companies, but they have lots of subsidiaries, and they also own regions of Oregon and Washington. So we do a lot with healthcare data, and me personally, I work with a lot of Google Analytics data. And the reason I do that is because basically our company has designed a really nice search tool to try to make it easier to access healthcare. We're trying to turn shopping for an MRI or health services like going on Amazon. You can type in what kind of procedure you need, and you'll get to see all the different providers and practices that offer that service, how much it could cost you, and try it so that you can, and how good, tie in reviews associated with those different providers so you can kind of know what you're getting into ahead of time, instead of just, hey, my knee's busted, I don't know what I'm going to do, I don't know how much it's going to cost, I don't know what my insurance is going to look like. We try to take care of all that for you and give you more options and transparency.
That's awesome.
So since we use a web app, I analyze a lot of Google Analytics data to see how the people that use our application use it, and maybe try to get insights on what we can do better to design it better, or try to develop new products that can help the people that use it.
Okay, awesome.
And I'm still new, so I don't know how much impact I've had yet since I'm only 2 months on the job. But that's what we're trying to do, and it's a big task.
That's
but
really cool.
It's pretty exciting work.
Tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Your tech talk today for our students here at the Tech Academy is on Kaggle and Tensorflow.
Yeah.
What do those two things mean?
So I'll start with Tensorflow. Underneath the umbrella of data science is artificial intelligence, which is, I probably have overused the word booming already. But I mean,
you throw it around the line.
But I mean, yeah, it's just, so artificial intelligence especially is exploding because, our computing capabilities have dramatically increased, since they originated, yes, but especially over the last, decade or so, and GPUs have become very, very useful for making lots of calculations really, really quick. We also have massive amounts of data. Big data is a term that gets thrown around all over the place, but basically with all the data we have available and all of the computing resources that we have, it makes it really, really easy to build artificial intelligence and to build models that leverage those frameworks. And fortunately, the companies like Apple and Microsoft and IBM and Google have developed these libraries so that they've all released only in the past couple of years, that make it so you can build artificial intelligence really, really easily. So 10 years ago, it could have been something that somebody would spend their entire PhD researching and implementing, and now somebody can get on, watch a tutorial, and then build an artificial brain essentially in like 50 lines of code, like it's nothing. So so TensorFlow is a artificial intelligence framework that was developed by Google.
Okay.
And it was released a couple years ago, or at least they open sourced a version of it. And it's a tool that is of all the frameworks out there, it's the one that's very widely used and very actively developed. If you go on GitHub, you'll see, just a bunch of people that are committed to this project and trying to make it better. And so I'm part of a group here in Portland that tries to just teach people how to use it. And so that's something I'm really excited about, and I just get to help people learn that.
And what is the name of that group that you're
It's called Tensorflow Northwest.
Okay.
So it's here in Portland. We've only met a couple of times, but right now we meet out at Vacasa in Northwest Portland, and it's super cool. We have meetups once a month, and the person that runs it is the CEO of a tech company that uses TensorFlow in his daily work, trying to help build artificial intelligence for lots of different organizations. And so that's what TensorFlow is. So it's just a way to make artificial intelligence programming it super easy. And then Kaggle itself is something unrelated, but also owned by Google. And it's a website for data scientists and machine learning or artificial intelligence enthusiasts to come together to build a nice community. And they have essentially lots of data sets and competitions that you can use, that you can compete in to try to improve your skills. So for instance, like the data science, every single year there's something called a Data Science Bowl. That's one of the competitions that's on Kaggle. And for this year, it was trying to become really good at identifying, like if you're given an image that's a microscopic image of lots of different cells, of just trying to identify where nuclei are within that image, because over to the end of, if we can get better at identifying where nuclei are, then inside the nuclei we can get lots of interesting information that can help researchers do better at cancer research or stuff like that. So lots of different organizations will post these competitions up and say, hey, help us out with this thing. That would be really, really cool. And so you get to apply your data science skills to that project, and lots of them have prizes if you are actually really good. I've never gotten anywhere near there, but some of the prizes are like $500,000.
Wow.
It's like huge.
It's a pretty massive prize.
Yeah. Really, really cool stuff. And but yeah, so I just do it for fun and to learn, but it's a great spot if you're interested in data science or machine learning, deep learning. It's a cool spot to just compete and get to know other people and learn, lots of these really cool technologies.
Tell us about the meetup that you host here at the Tech Academy.
Sure.
Once a month, right?
It's twice a month.
Okay.
So basically we are a part of the Tensorflow Northwest meetup. And basically it's a team of people that are trying to apply TensorFlow to Kaggle competitions. So when I got started transitioning from academia to data science, I kind of felt on my own because I didn't know anybody else that was trying to do the same thing. And while I could get on Kaggle and see hundreds of thousands of other people that were doing the same thing that I was, or at least practicing their data science, I didn't know anybody personally. So once I got all done and got a little bit more free time on my hands and moved up here, I just wondered if there was other people that would be interested in doing the same thing, because you can form teams for these competitions. You don't have to do everything by yourself. In fact, the only groups that get very far are the ones that have teams and a lot of collaborative minds on a project. So I was hoping that it would be cool to meet people, and maybe if there were other people along earlier in the process of their journey towards this field and trying to get into data science, then I could help them out, we could help each other out, and just all work together and share the load of practicing all these skills. So that's what the group is all about.
Okay.
And so right now we have about a dozen or so people that meet up here, and you guys are so gracious to host us, which is a great spot. And so we just kind of code together and talk about different approaches and strategies towards tackling some of the problems that are presented on these competitions. And just learn. It's a really great opportunity to just connect with other nerds that are doing the same thing that I am, Yeah, fortunately Portland's a big enough town that there's a pretty solid base of people that are interested in that.
A good nerd population.
We have a good nerd population up here in Portland. Yeah, the tech sector is doing pretty nicely, so it's cool to have that demand.
Another question, to cycle back to when you were working on your PhD and you decided to change directions and you were doing all of this research on your own, I imagine it would be like what resources did you use? How did you pick a direction? How did you know where to start? It's something that we talk about a lot as as a coding boot camp to help give students a structure or a direction. Yeah. But obviously lots of people in this industry are self-taught and have found resources on their own. So how did you go about that, and what did you use to do that?
Good question. It was a long evolving process, but what I think ultimately helped me the most is I looked at the jobs that I wanted to feel qualified for once I was done.
Yeah.
And I looked at the skills, at the skill requirements that they had in there. So, I found a lot of things like, you should know R and Python, you should know SQL, you should know Tableau. If you know something, even that's a crazy thing, is even 3 years ago when I started this process, like TensorFlow and all these deep learning frameworks didn't exist.
Yeah.
So that I couldn't have the foresight for.
Right.
But, so I just identified, okay, so that skill, those are things that I need to, that I would like to envelop with, into the research that I'm doing over the next couple of years, so I can at least say, if I don't use it a lot and don't feel comfortable with it, at least I can say I'm familiar with it and I know that I can learn it because I've just investigated it and I know what it's about. So that's kind of the approach that I took. And then in terms of how I acquired all those skills, one was just practicing. And fortunately I used online websites like Coursera and edX and Udemy. I didn't go into any boot camps just because I didn't have the time, but I knew they existed and thought they were a cool resource. And they have data science boot camps as well that you can also get into. So I'm a huge fan of the boot camp space and, online learning in that framework because it's, sure is a lot less money than a degree.
Yes.
And I've seen, and exactly, and a lot less time, but practically, you learn skills that are going to be directly relevant to what you want to do. And so I've seen lots of success with that, but yeah, so just looking for online resources, like I said, those websites were really, really great. Stack Overflow is a great site where you can get answers to any question, any coding question ever. So yeah, that's just kind of what I did. Outside of, I took 2 courses on Java in graduate school, but other than that, everything else was just kind of learning on my own with the help of those resources. So
yeah, that's good. And then, so you said you've been in your new position for 2 months now?
Yeah.
So how did those skills of teaching yourself and kind of pursuing your own things, I imagine there's a lot of on-the-job learning in what you're still doing, and that's something that we see a lot in the tech industry is that you're going to have to kind of keep learning forever.
Yeah.
So how does that look for you in your new position?
It looks... So the fact that I do get to keep learning forever, to me, is incredibly exciting. That's one thing that I love, and that's, makes me, it wakes me up, just any opportunity to learn something new, I really gravitate towards. And so far as technical skills, I feel like my chops have been pretty good. If I need to learn work on a problem, I didn't have any experience with Google Analytics before, so that's something that I've had to really spend a lot of time learning, but it didn't take that long because I already have the practice of learning things on my own, so that's not an issue. So that's a skill. Just learning how to learn is a skill that I think is invaluable, and I would recommend everybody to learn to do that, which I thought everybody knew how to do that, but I found that that's a pretty rare trait to have, or to be interested and motivated enough to do that. So but that makes it nice, because then with that confidence that I can learn anything, I just know that there's nothing that I can't handle. But then actually on the job, I've gotten to learn a lot more about Tableau, because that was something that I didn't get to use a lot in grad school. But in terms of Python and R, the tools that I use a lot now, I felt pretty good to go and pretty on par with other people that are, working at the company. And fortunately, the company's great, and I hope that lots of other tech sector companies would be great, that they're, really anxious to train you and teach you and, help get you up to speed. And honestly, the biggest part has been learning the field of healthcare and learning about how their data is stored and all the different clients we have. And that's been what's most challenging, is learning all of that, which is something I could never plan for or prepare for, because every company will be different. But
as far as job placement, that's a big thing that we do here at the Tech Academy, is working with people on job placement. And there's always questions about, well, all of my work experience is in another industry, or my degree is unrelated, those types of things. So what would you say to someone who has that concern, as someone who's highly educated in something that on paper doesn't look like data science?
The job hunt process was super long and stressful. It was awful. So I spent about 5 months looking, and I applied at over 70 places, and I only got 3 phone interviews out of that overall. So that was daunting, especially since it is a field that's in such high demand. I feel like there's a weird catch-22. But yeah, so I got a lot of emails and calls from recruiters saying, you don't have any experience in our specific industry, or we're looking for somebody that has more experience, or we decided to go with candidates that have more experience. So that was something I struggled with, even though, I've been paid the last 3 years to, do research and write papers and utilize these skills that I've had to learn. So one thing that really helped me was just try not to get discouraged and applying to, they say, if you feel like you match 80% of the job description, then apply for it.
Yeah.
So that's what I did, and the job that I actually have now, I didn't technically apply to. I applied to something else, and the recruiter called me and was like, I don't think you're the great fit for that job. I'm like, I know, but I'm desperate. And they said, well, there's this other job that probably will interest you more that I just hadn't seen, and that is how I got this job. So just applying to everything and trying to chase opportunities. You never know what is going to come from something. And networking, I tried with limited success because, like I said, we just moved back to Portland a couple months ago, so I didn't really know a lot of people that were in the industry. But working with recruiting firms worked fantastically because I found that, is fantastically a word?
Yes, now.
There you go. I found that they were more willing to, or I'll back up. Corporate recruiters, I would just get an email from, but the recruiting firms, like I'd send an application, they'd be on the phone with me the next day, and I felt like once I got the chance to, get some FaceTime, whether it was in person or over the phone, then people would understand, like, oh wow, you're really smart and you know your stuff. You'll be, we'll get you into a job just fine, instead of just getting some blanket email saying you don't have experience in healthcare or whatever. So recruiting firms worked great for me, and there's lots here in the Portland area, so I highly recommend those. A lot of the jobs are just contract for the first little while, but whatever. It's a foot in the door. It's a first job, and once you know it, since I got hired, I've had like 6 or 7 headhunters contact me after fact saying, hey, now that I have data engineer at Healthsparq or whatever on my resume, now they're like, hey, you're in data, do you want to? I was like, no, you're too late, sorry. My skill set's the same as it was 2 months ago. You should have contacted me then. So it was a long process, but I just say, don't give up. If there's anything life taught me, chase your dreams, and if you're ready when the opportunity comes, then you're going to meet up with it. That's what I've learned over and over and over. So be optimistic. You got this.
Is there anything else you would want our listeners to know?
I'm a big fan of artificial intelligence and AI. Huge nerd in that space. I wish I had gotten to know about it sooner, because I really do feel that it is going to transform every industry in the world over the next 50 years. There's lots of people that are way smarter than I am that talk about how AI is the new electricity and it's going to transform the world just like electricity did. So I would just encourage everybody to be cognizant of that space, whether you think that we'll build robots that will end up taking over the world. That's down the road, and those are important conversations to have for people, like I said, that are smarter than I am. But be aware of it, and it's a really exciting field to get into, really high demand, and it's just going to transform everything. So know what it is, and I would encourage you to look at TensorFlow. Unfortunately, there's lots of great tutorials that make it really easy to, if you have the time, to get up to speed on it. So
awesome. Thank you, Brian.
Sure.
Hi, this is Jack Stanley again, co-founder of the Tech Academy. If you are interested in enrolling in our Software Developer Bootcamp, please visit our website, learncodinganywhere.com.